Massive breaking news coming out of Manchester United this morning, with United in talks to sign Patrick Dorgu as the new left wing back. But before we bring you all of the information on this big breaking story, please do me a small favour, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and make sure to drop a like on today's video. Before I bring you the story on this one, I want to know who would be your priority signing as the left wing back. Get in the comment section now and let me know your thoughts. So this is coming out from David Ornstein, who of course is the Manchester United correspondent for The Athletic, tier 1 journalist, 3.1 million followers on Twitter. He doesn't put out fake stories. He doesn't put out clickbait. Very, very reliable source. And the headline is this: Manchester United in official talks to sign Patrick Dorgu from Leece. He says, Manchester United are now entering talks to sign Patrick Dorgu from Leece. Discussions have now officially begun over the 20-year-old as United look at options ahead of making decisions in relation to ins and outs this month. He says nothing has been confirmed yet, but dialogue is progressing well, with head coach Ruben Amorim keen to add reinforcements in the January window amid a run of form that has seen the new side slip to just 10 points above the relegation zone. He goes on to say that Patrick Dorgu, who has been capped 4 times by Denmark, has made 43 first-team appearances for Leece, having joined from Danish club Nordsjælland in 2022. It says he signed a new contract in October that runs until 2028. Blah, 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 blah. Patrick Dorgu, he's a player we've been linked to for a very, very long time. He's one of the kind of breakthrough names in the Serie A at the moment. 20 years of age, perfect profile, I think, to bring in. Obviously, he's somebody who's got the right age profile. Obviously, a left wing back, which is exactly what we need, but he is attacking, which is, again, what we need. He is a left-footed player as well, because at the moment, you've got Diogo Dalot as your left wing back, but he's right-footed. And think about it logically, right? You're running down the left side of a pitch. The natural thing to do is to cross the ball with your left foot. But obviously Diogo Dalot wants to cut inside on his right foot. And in every situation, Dalot doesn't really work as a left wing back. Even in one of the goals on the weekend, Diogo Dalot's response was to put the Brighton winger onto his left foot. He got it the wrong way around because of him not being the right footed. Does that make sense? So instead of making the Brighton player have to cross the ball on their weaker foot, he let them cross on their stronger foot, because in his head that would, because usually he's on the right hand side. So it's just one of those things which doesn't really make much sense. But in relation to the value of this player, I mean, realistically, his actual value is probably somewhere around 20 to 30 million euros. That's realistic. But obviously, as soon as Manchester United, are entering into the mix, the price goes from 20 million to 40 million to 60 million to stupid money. But I think realistically, from what I've seen this morning, a reasonable kind of fee for this guy would be somewhere around 20 to 40 million euros, including add-ons. I think 20 million is probably not going to happen. I think if you maybe got a deal somewhere around 25 to 30 plus add-ons, it would probably be fair. I would be happy with bringing this guy in. I've seen him play quite a few times in Serie A this season. Obviously, Danish international as well, 20 years of age. And it would just be nice to finally have a player who actually is suited to the system, because at the moment, Dalot doesn't work there. You can't really blame him. He's being made to play out of position. He's not good enough in that position, but it's not, it's like asking a midfielder to play as a CDM who isn't defensive. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think Patrick Dorgu to Manchester United is definitely one to keep an eye on. Obviously, David Ornstein putting this story out, he only gets information from the club, David Ornstein. He doesn't put out clickbait. He doesn't put out fake stories. And the other thing as well, which I forgot to mention about Patrick Dorgu, is he can play as a left wing back and as a right wing back. If you look at his appearances so far this season for Leece, he's played 22 times this season. He plays every single game for them. He scored 3 goals from left wing back, which is not bad for a left back, is it? And he's also got 1 assist. If you look at his positions this season, he's played 6 times as the left wing back, 3 times as a right wing back. He's also played as a right winger a couple of times as well, which is interesting. So he's versatile, very, very versatile. Obviously, to be playing international football at the age of 20 as well is quite impressive. He's played 4 times for Denmark and scored 1 goal. I think he'd be the perfect option. He's a player for the future. He's someone we can bring in, develop, obviously, and hope that he can go on to be the starting player, because let's be honest, Luke Shaw doesn't have a future at Manchester United. Malacia is on the brink of leaving. In other news as well, just quickly, before we go back to Patrick Dorgu, Anthony has now officially joined Real Betis. That's been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. We have had the here we go. It will be a loan until June 2025. There is no option to buy, and Manchester United will have to pay half of Anthony's wages. I mean, what an absolute joke of a transfer. That has to go down, in my opinion, as the worst transfer in Manchester United's history. I think, Paul Pogba, I think, was actually very good for some time. I know it didn't end well, but Paul Pogba was decent. Lukaku got criticised but scored goals. Anthony is just awful, absolutely awful. And the worst thing with Anthony is, even now that he's gone to Real Betis, we're still paying over half of his wages, and he's still going to be our problem again in 5 months' time when the summer window opens. Nobody's going to want to buy him. Maybe there's a world where a Saudi club comes in for him, maybe. But other than that, I think we're screwed. It might just be a case of loaning him out until his contract ends, which I believe is in 2027. I think he's got 2 years left on his deal. Let me just double check that. Yeah, 2027. So he's got 2 years left on his contract. Not really much more to add to that. But circling back to Patrick Dorgu, obviously the big story this morning is that apparently Manchester United are back in talks with Napoli over Alejandro Garnacho. So you're probably wondering, where are we getting the money from to sign this Patrick Dorgu? Well, unfortunately, it looks like the money is going to come from selling Alejandro Garnacho to Napoli. Apparently, Manchester United are holding fresh talks with Napoli today. I think he's going to go, to be honest. I think, from what I've heard, from what I've read, he's already agreed personal terms. He's already spoke to Conte. They're willing to double his wages. He's only on about 50k a week at Man United at the moment. Napoli willing to have him as the main star player on that left wing position, obviously replacing Kavica Kvaratskhelia, and they're willing to double his wages. I mean, if I was him, I'd go, to be honest. You can say it's a shame. You can say it's a disgrace that we're selling youth players. But at the same time, the fact that his agent has been out in Napoli and Naples for the last couple of days meeting with Napoli, he wants to go. You don't get your agent to go and meet with the president of Napoli if you don't want to go. And it's easy for us to criticise Man United, and I agree, we shouldn't be selling our best young players. But at the end of the day, we're 13th in the Premier League. We're probably not going to be in the Champions League for another 2 or 3 years. And let's be very, very clear here. Garnacho is ruining his career at Manchester United. He's not being picked. The system doesn't suit his attributes at all. We don't play with wingers, we play with wing backs, and Garnacho's clearly not good enough defensively. When you look at it as a whole picture, it's easy for people to get all emotional and say, oh, it's a disgrace that we're selling young players. But at the end of the day, Garnacho probably doesn't want to be here anymore. Let's be clear. He's not getting picked. His stock price is going down. He was at an all-time high under Erik ten Hag, picked every single game. He was the main man, got a new contract. Now he barely plays. And when he does play, it's for 20 minutes at the end of a game when we're already losing. So I wish him all the best. Man United is a sinking ship, let's be clear. And if we can get some money and, see one of our young players that we've developed go on to do great things, so be it. So be it, because he's not going to work in this Man United side. Ruben Amorim clearly doesn't fancy him. That's a fact. He doesn't. Have a look at the stats since Ruben Amorim joined, right? So Ruben Amorim's first game was against Everton, okay? He played 25 minutes against Everton. He played 35 minutes against Bournemouth, 11 against Wolves, 25 against Newcastle, 18 minutes against Liverpool. He played 90 minutes against Southampton, and then he played 26 minutes against Brighton. So since Ruben Amorim's joined in the Premier League games, he hasn't played more than about 30, 40 minutes other than once against Southampton. And he's been fit, he's been available. I mean, that just sums it up for me, I would let him go. I think there's no point keeping him here and letting his value just drop even more and ruining his career if he wants to go and play somewhere else. So that's the latest on those two stories. Quite a lot going on with Man United today, as you can expect. It always happens after we lose badly. We have to take everything with a pinch of salt. I'm sure in a minute we'll probably be linked to Alphonso Davies, Mbappe, God knows who else, because that's what the Glazers and Ineos do. When the form isn't going well, instead of actually doing anything like Man City have just spent 200 million in one window and agreed a 10-year contract with Erling Haaland. Man City are sat 4th in the Premier League. They're in disaster. They're in panic. And their disaster and panic is agreeing a 10-year deal with Erling Haaland and spending 200 million in a January window, which is completely unheard of. Man United's panic is, let's sell our best player. Yes, he doesn't work in the system, but fine. Sell our best player and then go and buy a 20-year-old from Leece. That's what Man United are going to do. But anyway, I'm going to wrap the video up here. Let me know your thoughts on everything in the comment section below. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll catch you all later. Bye for now.